So we're going to demonstrate the newest version of the RaPTr server with some of the new features that we have built in this version. So let's get started. So to get started today, we're going to go ahead and install the RaPTr server. So we're going to start by clicking our installer file here. And then we're going to agree to the license terms and conditions and leave the Add Desktop Shortcut checkbox checked. And acknowledge the Windows prompts. And just like that, the installation is complete. After the installation is complete, we're going to go ahead and configure the RaPTr server using the RaPTr server utility. Double click that and acknowledge the Windows prompt to give administrative privileges, and then I'm going to enter the default username of Artemis and a password of Raptor, spelled R-A-P-T-O-R. And once that's opened and acknowledged, we will go ahead and take a look here. We have a server state of running, and then a connection status. We have this little green light blinking on and off to indicate that this utility can connect to the RaPTr server rather. So first of the parameters that we can configure here is the interface type. So I'm going to click that drop down. We have CSV, XML, MySQL, SQL Server, and Oracle. So we'll talk about each of these, but first we'll start with CSV. So the CSV option will indicate that the server will look for CSV files in this exact file directory. See Artemis files. Once it locates a file, it'll bring it into the RaPTr server and parse the file and look for orders and barcodes and things of that nature. And we'll look more into the structure of that CSV file. Some more parameters around CSV is enable order tracking and pallet counting. So order tracking allows or tells the system to provide to the driver more information on the current state of the order. So that would be the number of pallets that are supposed to be scanned with that order and the current number of pallets that have been scanned on that order. And then enable pallet counting is for customers who have pallets with the same barcode that shows up in on multiple pallets, and say you have 10 of the same barcode per order. You can put 10 pallets or a quantity of 10 with that barcode, and then it will display to the driver how many of the 10 that driver has scanned, so that they can kind of track the individual pallets. Moving on, the RaPTr scanners by default will upload images of scanned pallets to the RaPTr server. The next four parameters being image directory, image resize factor, directory limit, and directory length deal with that. The image directory is where the images are saved. The resize factor is used to downsample the images slightly, so to save on storage. And then the last two parameters, directory limit and directory length, deal with how much storage the RaPTr server will keep. So in this case it's 5 gigabytes, and then the length that it will keep files. So in this case 1 day. You can increase this to whatever you need. This allows the system, if you have a directory, if a file exceeds 1 day or 120 days or however long you need it, it'll start deleting those files to save on storage. And then there's a checkbox here for enable web server. I'm going to go ahead and check that. And a username and password for this utility, Artemis and Raptor. Okay. So moving on, the XML file is similar to the CSV file, has the same parameters, but it's just in a different file format for customers who can use XML files or export them from their existing systems. And then MySQL, SQL Server, and Oracle are database options. The first option that comes up, or first parameter that comes up from the MySQL or any of the database options, is the connection string. And this is just your simple connection string to your database. And then the next one is use stored procedure and the stored procedure name. So clicking this will run a stored procedure with this stored procedure name on your database, and not clicking that checkbox will run the default query and the that is set up inside of the RaPTr server. So if you need more information on this, make sure you visit the Interfaces and Architectures document to get more details on the stored procedure and the default query. But for now, we're going to take a look at the CSV option, and to display some of these features, we're going to enable order tracking and pallet counting. I'm going to go ahead and save that. It's going to restart the server. And once it's restart, I'm going to click that out. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and configure a sample CSV file. So I have this one right here. I'm going to open it with Excel. And I'm going to expand each of these columns. So the first column is the barcode, and that is the unique barcode that's located on the pallet tag. So I'm going to call this one 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to make another one of 4, 5, 6, 7. And the response is going to be a response that's returned to the driver. So in this case, we're just going to say both of these are good. You could say good. You could say proceed, you know, whatever you want. Perhaps you say more information about what was scanned, who it's supposed to go to. It's really up to your business needs. The response color is the color of the background that's displayed to the driver. You can come up with some color coding if you need to give the driver more information. In this case, I'm just going to make it green. So these are hex color codes. So to make it green, it's 00FF00. If you're not familiar with hex color codes, you can Google hex color picker, and it will Google will allow you to drag and drop and create colors, and then provide to you what the corresponding hex color code would be. So I'm going to copy that down, make them both green. The location ID is a unique ID for each of the RaPTr scanners. This helps you identify where in your warehouse these pallets were scanned. So if you have them at each of your dock doors or in key locations in your warehouse to track their movement throughout the warehouse, you would assign each of your scanners a unique location ID. So I'm just going to call this for location ID 1 for now. And then we're going to give it an order number. So this can be any order number, bill of lading, whatever you need it to be. I'm going to call this order ABC, and this is going to be ABC. And again, by order number, it can be alphanumeric. It doesn't have to be pure numbers or anything like that. And to display that pallet counting feature, we're going to go ahead and give these a quantity of 10 and 1. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to save that file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, now that I've closed that, I'm going to copy it to the C Artemis files directory that was configured in the RaPTr server utility, and paste that in there, and then you'll see it disappear in short order. So it being deleted is a sign that the server utility, that the RaPTr server was able to read the contents of the file, update its tables, and then subsequently delete the file. So that's a sign that that operation went successfully. Okay, so now at this point, we can go ahead and open the RaPTr Scanner simulator. So the RaPTr Scanner simulator is used to set up your interface and kind of test some of the interface options before receiving your RaPTr scanners. So we're going to kind of go through how to use that real quick. So first you can see the RaPTr server IP address, which in this case is the IP address of this computer, and the connection status, which shows OK. Next down, you can see this. We set our scanner location ID. It's set to 42 by default. I'm going to set it to 1 to match the order that we just created. And we're going to select a sample barcode, and we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now that we have our sample barcode and our location ID set, I can load an image that will then be transmitted to the RaPTr server to be saved. And this can be any image. It's just here to demonstrate the image uploading feature. So I'm going to just pick one random picture we have here on our system. It'll tell us the loaded image here. And so I can then subsequently send a read event, which is going to simulate a barcode being read by a RaPTr scanner. So first thing that happens is because we have order tracking enabled, on the metadata display that would be on the RaPTr scanner's user interface, we have the order number of ABC and pallet 1 of 11. And then down here, which also is on the RaPTr server UI, is a response to the driver of good with a quantity 1 of 10 for that specific pallet. So from here I can continue to send read events, and I'll see those numbers increment 9 of 10, 9 of 11, and then I get to 10 of 10. And once I'm at 10 of 10, I'm going to go ahead and say pallet 4, 5, 6, 7, and we can send another read event to send that pallet count up to 11 of 11. Server response being good, quantity 1 of 1. So if I were to put in a bad barcode, say 789, I'll send that read event. In that case, we get a default response of wrong truck with a background of red. And this is to alert the driver that we couldn't find sample barcode 789 in the list for scanner location ID 1. So to kind of get some more visual feedback of what's been recorded by RaPTr server, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to open my web browser and type in localhost :5000. And so what we have here is the Rapid Pallet Tracker dashboard, which gives some of the information that's recorded by the RaPTr server. So what we first open up to is some production data here. So we show average uptime, total wrong pallets for the week, and total pallets scanned for the week. So we can see that one wrong pallet that we scanned, and we see the 23 total scans here. So we can go ahead and look up a barcode. So say we want to see 4, 5, 6, 7. So I look up barcode 4, 5, 6, 7. I see it was scanned at door ID 1. The response to the driver was good, quantity 1 of 1. And I see it was scanned on 2021 at 11:23 in the morning. And then I can click on this image here, which is that saved image that we uploaded. It's just kind of a bunch of nonsense, but in your case, it would be a picture of your pallet with your driver and then the barcode in frame. So I'm going to go back. So you can look up any barcode that's been scanned here and see where it was scanned and when it was scanned and the image as proof of scan. I can also go to the productivity tab, and you can see from the productivity a scans per hour graph, which kind of tells you what your shipping and receiving productivity looks like. So in this case, we had 11 scans made at 9, and then we had 0 scans made at 10, and then we had 12 scans made at 11 o'clock. And so you can kind of track your where your peak production, your peak shipping, and where your lulls are, and then you can kind of see your at the top you'll see your scans per hour as an average, and then your maximum and minimum times. And then down on the second graph, you'll be able to see an aggregate of the day. So in this case, we had R11 that gets carried over to 10 o'clock, and then once we made the additional 12 scans, we had the graph jump up. So it's another way to visualize the data. And then finally, the Orders tab allows you to see your current orders. In this case, we have just the order ABC, where you get to see what pallets are associated with that order. You can filter by order, and you can filter by doors. In this case, we still have door 42, and we have door number 1. So you can get the orders for door 1, and then you can select specific orders and view those as well. And then also we have the ability to choose and upload a file. So this would be one of the CSV files or XML files for loading an order. So you can use this to verify your scan data and just kind of see the images that you uploaded and how what information RaPTr Scanner and RaPTr Server can save for your business needs. And that concludes the demonstration for the RaPTr Server. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us at sales@artemisvision.com.